All right, welcome in everybody to the deep dive. We've got a really, really fascinating case today.
Yeah, this one's a tough one.
Yeah, a really disturbing case from Japan. It's called the Niigata girl confinement incident. And, even if you're not familiar with Japan, even if it feels like a world away,
Right.
I think there are a lot of sort of universal themes that we can kind of tease out of this case.
Absolutely. I mean, this story, it's about people
Mhm.
and how we interact with each other and how society sometimes fails to protect the most vulnerable among us, and how some people exhibit incredible strength to survive.
Yeah, and we all have a responsibility to kind of look out for each other in our communities. And this case kind of shines a light on that.
For sure.
So let's just set the stage a little bit. It's 1990. We're in Sanjo City in Niigata Prefecture, Japan.
Okay.
Now, a prefecture is kind of like a state, a region.
Mm.
And 9-year-old girl, we'll call her A
Okay.
to protect her privacy. On her way home from elementary school, she's kidnapped.
Just a normal day walking home from school, unimaginable.
Yeah, by a 28-year-old man we're going to call S.
Right.
And she's held captive for over 9 years.
9 years. That's longer than most people spend in high school. In fact, it's almost like an entire childhood. You think about it.
It's unbelievable.
From a baby to a teenager, that's how long she was held.
It's just a huge chunk of time.
Yeah.
Now, for this deep dive, we've been poring over the Japanese Wikipedia page on this incident. Now, Wikipedia. It's a great resource.
Yeah.
Crowdsourced, lots of information there, good overview. But it's always worth double-checking
Sure.
if you're doing any kind of serious research.
Always want to verify.
Yeah, it's a good starting point. It gives us a broad picture and different perspectives on the case.
It's a really useful jumping off point.
Exactly. So what we want to do today is really break this case down.
Okay.
We want to understand what happened during this long confinement, the events that led to it, what happened afterwards, the legal ramifications, the societal impact. We want to explain it in a way that's clear and accessible. Makes sense?
Even if you know nothing about Japan.
Right.
And there are some twists and turns and thought-provoking aspects of this case that we really want to get into.
This is a case that really makes you think.
So let's rewind all the way back. November 13th, 1990.
Right.
Sanjo City, Niigata, Japan. Our 9-year-old A, 4th grade,
Okay.
walking home from school, when S, 28 at the time, kidnaps her. And according to the source, he was driving his mother's car.
Mm.
He actually followed A for a bit
Oh, wow.
and then stopped in front of her and then threatened her with a knife,
Mm.
about 13 centimeters long.
So like 5 inches roughly?
Yeah, not a huge knife, but certainly terrifying for a kid,
Absolutely, especially when you're that small.
especially when you're 9.
Yeah.
Held it to her chest, forced her into the trunk of his car.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine the terror, the confusion?
It's chilling to think about. And then he drives her to his house in Kashiwazaki City. It's in the same prefecture. And on the way, he stops again to tie her hands and feet with adhesive tape.
Oh wow. Blindfolds her, she's still in the trunk.
It's premeditated. It's so calculated.
Yeah, this is not a spur-of-the-moment thing. This is planned.
Right.
Arrives at his home around 8 p.m., carries her to his second-floor room. And this room becomes her entire world.
Her whole world shrinks down to this one room.
For the next 9 years.
It's unbelievable.
Mm.
So let's talk about what life was like for her during those years. What did she have to endure?
So the first 2 to 3 months, he ties her hands and feet whenever he leaves the room or goes to sleep.
Just complete immobilization. No chance of escape.
No chance of escape. Then for about a year, he only ties her legs.
Okay. So he loosens up a little bit.
But even that, it just took away her will to escape.
Yeah, I mean, if you're constantly restrained, you lose hope.
Yeah, that psychological impact.
Yeah.
So rules. She's forbidden from making noise, can't see the layout of the house, can't leave the bed without permission, can't resist him.
So basically, she had no autonomy
0.
whatsoever.
And if she does any of those things, physical abuse.
Right.
And it escalates. After a year or two, he starts using a stun gun.
Oh my gosh.
Now, she endured this silently, probably fearing worse, right?
Makes sense. I mean, what's the alternative?
Yeah. And then S himself admits to hundreds of instances of both light and forceful beatings over the years.
It's just heartbreaking.
Devastating. And, she develops these coping mechanisms. She would dissociate.
Right. Just detached from reality, trying to protect herself mentally.
Yeah. And when he would hit her, she would turn her cheek to avoid eye injuries.
Oh, that's so sad. I mean, just
Right.
the The thought process, a child having to think that way, it's just horrible.
Yeah. So let's talk about living conditions. Initially, she's fed leftovers from S's mother's meals.
Okay.
Then later, convenience store bento.
Okay.
Those are like prepackaged meals.
Right.
And around 1996, he reduces her meals to once a day,
What? Why?
based on a mistaken belief that a bruise on her leg was caused by too much protein.
Oh, wow.
He cuts her food down to one meal a day.
That's just cool.
She loses weight, starts fainting,
Of course.
and he adds a single rice ball to her daily meal.
That's not enough.
That's it. Exercise. At first, she's allowed minimal leg exercises in bed.
Okay.
Later, foot stomping to prevent diabetes, but only when his mother isn't around,
Wow.
because he's afraid she might hear.
Right.
Hygiene. One shower in almost a decade.
One shower.
Blindfolded. This is after she falls and gets dirty.
It's just...
For the bathroom, plastic bags,
Yeah.
both her and S, left in the hallway. Just dehumanizing conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just this constant control, deprivation, violence. It's horrific.
Yeah.
But this is where it gets really weird.
Yeah, because despite all of this, S also provides A with manga,
Manga?
Japanese comic books,
Right.
newspapers,
Uh-huh.
talks to her about current events, his interests.
Oh, that's strange.
Yeah, it seems like he wanted her to develop intellectually. He teaches her basic math.
So it's like this bizarre mix of cruelty and almost like twisted nurturing.
It's hard to comprehend.
And when she's rescued, her intellectual level is reportedly normal for her age.
That's incredible considering she missed out on 9 years of formal education.
Yeah.
So how does he explain this? How does he see their relationship?
So he considers a friend. He values her as a conversation partner. Even says in court that he couldn't release her because she was an irreplaceable companion.
So he's justifying his actions by saying he needs her.
Yeah.
It's a complete distortion of reality.
It's so twisted. He's created this completely isolated world.
Right, where he's both the abuser and the only connection she has to the outside world.
Right. It really raises a lot of questions about his mental state. So let's look at S's background a little bit.
Okay.
Born in 1962. Parents doted on him. Seems like he had social difficulties from an early age.
Okay.
In junior high, diagnosed with mysophobia.
Mysophobia, that's the fear of dirt and contamination, right?
That's right, fear of germs.
Mhm.
And it had a huge impact on his life. He quits his first job after 3 months. Oh, wow.
Due to obsessive behaviors related to cleanliness,
Right.
and remains unemployed until his arrest.
So this fear really controlled his life.
Yeah. Now, family life, 19 years old, forces his father to leave the house, lives alone with his mother,
Okay.
then diagnosed with obsessive-compulsive neurosis.
So that's intrusive thoughts and compulsions, repetitive behaviors.
That's right. He's even hospitalized briefly after he sets fire to the family altar
Wow.
during an argument with his mother.
Okay, so there's some serious mental health issues here.
Yeah. And heavily reliant on his mother. She runs errands for him, buys racing papers, drives him to the races.
It seems like a very dependent relationship.
Yeah. And here's a key piece of information.
Right.
In 1989, the year before the kidnapping, S is arrested for attempted indecent assault
Wow.
of another 9-year-old girl
Okay.
near an elementary school.
So this wasn't his first offense.
No. This is a pattern. He receives a suspended sentence. 1 year imprisonment, 3 years probation. So he didn't have to go to prison as long as he stayed out of trouble.
Right.
But this prior offense wasn't properly registered by the local police.
Oh, wow. So a failure in the system.
Huge failure in the system. And
Right.
that's going to come back to haunt them.
Right.
Okay.
So this information wasn't shared. They didn't connect the dots.
Right. So with all that in mind, let's fast forward to A's discovery and rescue.
Okay.
So it's January 2000. Ace's mother seeks help from a doctor in a public health center.
Okay.
She reports domestic violence from her son.
Right.
On January 28th, 2000, public health officials and city staff go to Ace's home to take him for involuntary psychiatric hospitalization.
Okay. Based on the mother's report
Right.
and his history.
And it's there they find A. Now 19 years old, on a bed, in Ace's room, wrapped in a blanket.
It's almost like something out of a movie. It's so unbelievable.
She's described as extremely pale with short hair.
Wow.
At first, she's hesitant to speak. She needs time to process her emotions.
Right? I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah.
After 9 years of this.
And shockingly, Ace's mother claims not to know who she is.
Well,
I
no,
know.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, eventually A revealed her name and details.
Right.
And they match the missing girl from Sanjo City.
Wow.
Fingerprints confirm her identity.
Incredible. So after all these years, she's finally free.
It's amazing. So, legal proceedings. Iss is arrested on February 11th, 2000.
Okay.
Suspicion of kidnapping and inflicting injury. Now, the injury includes things like PTSD and muscle weakness.
Right. Both physical and psychological harm.
Exactly. The initial trial takes place in a Niigata district court in 2002.
Okay.
S admits to the charges. However, the main point of contention is his mental capacity.
Right. The defense is going to argue that he wasn't fully responsible for his actions.
Right, they're saying diminished responsibility. He's sentenced to 14 years imprisonment.
Okay.
The court rejects arguments regarding the statute of limitations on kidnapping and diminished responsibility.
So they're saying, basically, you knew what you were doing. It doesn't matter how much time has passed,
Okay.
and you're responsible for your actions.
Right. However, S appeals the sentence, and in 2002, the Tokyo High Court reduces it to 11 years.
Okay.
This is based on a different interpretation of the law regarding concurrent offenses. He was also charged with a minor theft charge for lingerie.
Right.
So they're looking at how those sentences run concurrently.
Right.
However, the final appeal, 2003 Supreme Court of Japan,
Okay.
overturns the High Court's decision, reinstates the 14-year sentence.
Wow.
And this establishes a precedent for the handling of concurrent offenses.
So this case had a ripple effect on the legal system.
Exactly. So now let's look at the aftermath. What happened after all of this? So A, thankfully, she gradually starts to rebuild her life.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, she attends her coming-of-age ceremony, gets a driver's license, spends time with her family.
Amazing. After everything she went through, she's finding a way to move forward.
Yeah, just an incredible testament to human resilience. Now, the case, it also had a huge impact on Japanese society.
I can imagine. I mean, this is a case that really captured the public's attention.
Right. It highlights the issues of long-term confinement,
Right.
the psychological effects, raises awareness of hikikomori.
Hikikomori, that's the term for social withdrawal, right? People who isolate themselves from society.
Because S was a long-term recluse.
Right. So this case brings that issue to light.
Exactly. And then the Niigata Prefectural Police, they face severe criticism
Of course.
for their handling of the initial disappearance.
Right.
Circumstances of A's discovery, there are resignations, disciplinary actions against high-ranking officials for false statements, failures in the initial investigation.
Right. They didn't even consider S as a suspect.
Right.
Even though he had a history.
Despite his prior offense, mishandling a consultation from S's mother years prior.
Oh, wow. So there were warning signs
Yeah.
that were ignored.
Yeah. Delayed response on the day of A's discovery. The police chief, he's found to have been playing mahjong at a hotel after being informed of her discovery.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So this leads to discussions about the responsibilities of family members
Right.
and the community dealing with individuals exhibiting problematic behavior.
Yeah. What are the warning signs? What can we do to intervene early on?
Right. And legal changes. The maximum penalty for kidnapping resulting in injury is increased.
So they strengthened the laws in response to this case.
That's right. Now, Ace, he's released from prison in 2015
Okay.
and dies of illness in 2017
Okay.
in Shiba Prefecture. His mother, she had died during his imprisonment
Oh, wow.
after developing dementia. And their house, where all of this happened, remains vacant.
It's like a silent reminder of this horrific event.
So, wrapping it up, a young girl endures an unimaginable 9-year confinement. This case highlights vulnerability, control, the complexities of human behavior.
Absolutely. And it really forces us to ask some hard questions about how we protect the vulnerable in our society.
Exactly. Exposes failures within the system, sparks conversations about social isolation and mental health support.
Right.
It happened in Japan, but it really speaks to universal themes. The importance of vigilance, societal responsibility, the lasting impact of crime on individuals and communities.
Absolutely. It's a story that transcends borders.
And so a final thought to leave you with. Given the systemic failures and the really unusual dynamic between captor and captive,
Right. It's such a strange relationship.
what does this case tell us about the unseen struggles within families? And how can we create more effective support systems for both victims and potential perpetrators?
Yeah. How can we intervene earlier, identify those who need help, and prevent these kinds of tragedies from happening in the first place?
Exactly. It's a lot to think about.
Food for thought. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks, everyone.